Hi, and welcome to Kelly's Breyers, episode 3. Today we're going to talk about Fighting Stallions and the guys on this little shelf. First up, the fighters. On the left is Nictosha, the connoisseur model. There's King, the Vintage Collectors Club. And on the right is Glossy Bay Fighter. They're fairly uncommon. I suspect there's more fake glossies out there than real ones. He's pretty trash, but I'm glad to have him. On the left is a Vintage Gold Charm. Nictosha, the Burbank, the Breyer West volunteer model from 2007. There's a Charcoal, who's a neat brownish charcoal with pink feet. And on the right, Fiero, the raffle model. I traded him from a Best Actor over the summer, which was awesome. And there's 2 Schleichs that I like. On the left, there's a Wedgwood, a vintage Copenhagen, who's leaning a bit. That's because his leg and tail are not real. I did a leg and tail transplant on this guy, but he still shows fairly well, and, well, at least he did up until this video. There's the Denim and Diamonds raffle model, who's the only legitimate raffle model I've ever won. Every other one I've traded for, purchased or whatever. There's All Hallows Eve, the Velvet Rope event special run of 75. A chalky alabaster. I'd like to find a chalky bay. I'm also missing the Florentine, the Gold Charm Judges model, and the Flocky. There's a Listening Tour horse. There's 4 or 5 of them made. I had heard he'd been painted by Tom Bainbridge. I can't confirm that. I've seen others with, some have dark feet, some have all pink feet. There's really not too many, and I think I've seen them all have different feet. Just odd. And on the right, we have 2 test runs. One is a Smoke on the right and a Dapple Gray on the left. They're part of the Francis collection. And that refers to a collection of models owned by Karen Francis Gibbs. She's a woman from Wisconsin, and her dad used to collect Breyers. He and his wife did. They had a diorama in their basement. And she couldn't identify any of the models that were left to her from her dad. So she contacted Felicia, author of the 4th edition of the Collector's Guide, about where to locate them. She thought maybe she was just missing something. So Felicia asked her for some pictures and realized these things were something that she'd never seen before, that they were definitely original finish and likely tests. So the story behind it was, I guess the guy and his wife would order from their distributor, and sometimes, say, a fighter didn't come in Dapple Gray, so he would just request it, and back in the day, I guess you could do that, and Breyer would paint up 1 or 2 for him at the handsome sum of like $8 to $9 a piece. So that's pretty awesome. You always hear rumors about being able to order stuff from the factory, but there you go. And I've looked up R&J distributors. I haven't found any information about them, whether they were a toy company, a supplier, or I have no idea. So if anybody has any information on them or wants to do some fun research, let me know. I've looked in the Chicago area thinking maybe that's where they were from, but haven't found anything. Okay, and back to the top over here we have the Weg Porcelain, Kalahari, the Premiere Special Run. There's Cocoa Beach from Sunshine Celebration, Frappe the Web Special, and the Chalky Yellow Mount. We talked about the Morgans last time. And on the left is one of 2 resins that I own. He's a Mittens resin painted by Karen Dietrich to look like Tequila Willie, my horse. And on the right is one of a kind painted by Breyer. At WEG 2010, they offered a custom program where they would paint a model of your horse on a couple selected molds. It couldn't be glossy and it couldn't be a decorator, but he looks just like Willie, my horse, and I wasn't worried about the Breyer curse. At that time, Willie was 26. He's 28 now, and he's still alive and kicking. And they did a really excellent job mapping his nose and everything. Just looks really awesome, and he's a paint Belgian cross. And on the left here, we have a chalky Honey Bay Pam. She's pretty rare from about 1958 or 59. And 3 other chalky Pams, a mahogany, dapple gray, and an alabaster. Wish the alabaster was in better shape or I'd show her. There's an old Breyer piece of a bolo tie too. And on the left on the bottom is the very ultra rare 1 of 18 Wig Halflinger from the World Equestrian Games. The only difference between him and Strikey is that he doesn't have a brand. So if you're a Halflinger completist, You gotta have them, but if you're not a halfling or completist, your UK strikey will do just fine. So there's really not too much different about him. In the middle is the 2005 volunteer model, and on the right is the connoisseur Molly McGuire. I think in episode 1, I might have talked about my family are mares, but this past weekend I picked up this gal at a flea market for $4. She's a super rare Model Horse Congress distributor. They were available in stores as a set or individually in the late 1970s, so there's only 100 or 200 of them out there, supposedly. Who knows? And that concludes this episode of Kelly's Breyers. Next time we'll talk about running mares and foals and maybe some Mustangs and stuff. All right. See you then.